Political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, always appreciate your time and your perspective. Certainly a very emotional speech from President Zelensky. He hearkened back to two attacks on this country, Pearl Harbor and 9/11, as he called on the U.S. to do more to help Ukraine fight Russian forces. What did you make of his tone and his plea for help here, and what might it lead to?
His tone was spot on, Alex. He spoke to the members of Congress. Wish he might have been able to do that in the House chamber. He utilized the visitor center auditorium. Kind of looks like a theater. Didn't really have the feel of, say, Franklin Roosevelt going before the nation after Pearl Harbor. But all of that aside, President Zelensky hit all the right notes. And as he has done with other elected bodies around the world, he spoke to them. For example, in the UK, Alex, he talked about Churchill. In the United States this morning, he talked about Pearl Harbor and 9/11. And then he captured a bit of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech by saying, I have a need speech to give you today. And talked about Mount Rushmore. So he personalized it to the Congress and to the American people. I thought he did well, and the short video that he showed was extremely powerful.
And he directly challenged President Biden to do more to help Ukraine in this war. He said at one point, I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace. How effective is this forceful approach likely to be, where Mr. Zelensky is putting the president on the spot, really?
I think he's just trying to keep the pressure on, Alex, and not long after the speech this morning, which was watched around the world, of course, President Biden came out and authorized another $800 million of military and other assistance to Ukraine. So absent the argument around the no-fly zone, all kinds of other equipment are going into Ukraine, including surface-to-air missiles, shoulder-fired missiles, other equipment that can take on these Russian jets and these Russian attack helicopters. And the Ukrainians know how to use this equipment, and they've been using it effectively. My intelligence sources and others have been telling me right along that the Russians are taking incredible losses in Ukraine. Now, they have put a tremendous amount of force in there, so we don't know where it'll all go. But they're getting a significant bloody nose in Ukraine. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, as you mentioned, immediately after Zelensky's speech today, President Biden announced that additional $800 million in direct aid to Ukraine, committed to sending that country even more weapons to fend off the Russians, but so far, again, has resisted those calls for a no-fly zone over the country. From President Biden's perspective, in terms of how he navigates this politically here, he's trying to help Ukraine as much as possible without triggering a larger conflict that would draw in the United States. How difficult is it to walk that very fine line?
He's dancing on the head of a pin. He really is. If we were to declare either a no-fly zone militarily or a no-fly zone for humanitarian reasons, it would put NATO jets, maybe American jets and fighters, in almost direct contact with Russians. There could be an incident. That incident could trigger other reactions from Russia. And President Biden is trying to avoid that. At the same time, he's trying to give the Ukrainian military all of the resources they need to fight on. And the no-fly zone, everybody gets the importance of that because they are using jets and attack helicopters to attack people. But one other thing, Alex, is they're also using a lot of standoff weapons. They have now been bloodied to the extent that I'm not sure the Russian conscripts and others want to take on the Ukrainians on the battlefield, and to the same extent that they tried in the first few days. And because of that, they're firing rockets and artillery at a standoff distance and just trying to pummel the cities and the civilians of Ukraine. And it does rise to the level of war crimes, and we should not forget that.
Yeah, certainly a powerful address today from the Ukrainian president to the U.S. Congress. Political analyst Brian Sobel, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure, Alex.